friends, welcome to the Chef's Pantry. I'm Anna Rossi and I have two delicious vegetable dishes for you that are great, think tapas style, also hearty enough to stand on their own as a centerpiece on your table. We're gonna roast up some honey carrots, serve them on top of a whipped cottage cheese that makes me so excited, and then I have a great kale Caesar salad, big earthy salad with a lot of crunch. So before we get into tossing up our greens, let me show you what we have with our honey roasted carrots. So we're going to use a little bit of honey to sweeten our delicious heirloom carrots, but this is my pride and joy. This is my dad's honey, and every Christmas he sends us a little bottle of this, but it has crystallized, which is totally normal. However, it is a little unsightly, one could say, and then it also changes the experience when we're eating it, right? It has a little grit to it. So if this has happened to you, rest be assured, your honey is still delicious and totally fine. Honey is actually non-perishable as long as you haven't contaminated it, dipping your finger in it, or mixing in some jelly as you're making up some little concoction. So what I'm going to do to make this liquid again, because this is non-pasteurized, this is made with love, very much homespun. I'm gonna place this in a pot on the stove and get a little bit of water going so it's hot, but it's not boiling. So while we make the salad, I'm gonna let this pot of water liquefy my honey again, and we'll take advantage of that when we go to roast our carrots. Okay, if I can get my induction burner going, we'll be in good shape. Okay, let's go ahead and pop that on. It's the simple things that sometimes I feel like I make look really difficult. Okay, come with me, let's get into this delicious kale salad. So here we have an array of classic Caesar ingredients for that great dressing that's like that iconic umami flavor with some citrus, a little bit of anchovy, some great cheese base in there. But when you think of Caesar, I think of something that has that great crunch of romaine, some big shavings of Parmigiano, and really good croutons. Well, we're using the kale as our green base, and then with that we're sort of changing the texture experience. So with the croutons, instead of big cubes, we're going to create a little toasted crumb. So here I have last night's baguette. I just went ahead and I pulsed on for about 45 seconds about a 5-inch chunk of baguette, and I want to give this a little crunch, a little toast, a little love in a nice non-stick pan. So I'm going to go ahead and pop all of that in there, and then save this food processor because she's going to come out again for our whipped cottage cheese. Now I'm going to add just a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. Let me get my little spoon to move things around. And then I'm going to use some acidity in our homemade Caesar salad dressing. I'm going to do a combination of red wine vinegar and a little bit of lemon. I have lemons kicking around that I need a good home for. So I'm going to use the juice from this, and I want to take advantage of that delicious zest before I go ahead and slice this. So we're taking advantage of two ways to get in loads of citrus flavor. Again, just sort of bringing a little heat to the crumb, letting that zesty essence and oil of the citrus infuse with the little toasting baguette will be really nice. And this is something that we'll then toss into the little nooks and crannies of our kale that will be really cool. Something familiar, but with a twist, right? Because of the texture change. So I'm just gonna let my nose keep an eye on this, let my eyes make sure things don't get too brown as we pull in some great flavors with our dressing. Okay. So I love anchovies, and I think you do too, even if you think, I don't like anchovies. Honey, you do like anchovies. So yes, if you really don't like them, you can leave them out entirely, but I would challenge you to try them. Usually I use an anchovy paste, which is really easy to keep on hand in your refrigerator. You can pull it out when you need it. But here I had this little tin of spiraled anchovies packed in olive oil that I thought would be fun to pull in today. So here I have, let's see, we'll go medium force in the anchovy department here. And I am gonna pop them in the bowl and then just give them a mush. They are actually very tender, cured in that delicious olive oil. They are packed with flavor. They have that that real punch in a bite of something that really lets you know there was a chef's hand here. And then I want to just sort of activate everything, releasing all that great oil and texture, because we're going to pull in some really great ingredients to this little mix. How about we start by adding a little bit of garlic to that? Here I like to keep a bundle of, fresh garlic on hand in the pantry in a cool basket. Oh! I was gonna do 2 cloves, but I think now that you're watching, I can only do 1.5. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and pop my anchovy or my garlic cloves in my press. Now I'm gonna add just a little bit of Dijon mustard. Now I want to bring in a little bit of herb. Again, I have loads of parsley from our last batch of meatballs I was rolling up, and packing in herbs in unexpected ways gives great color, gives great texture, a little extra oomph in there too, especially this time of year, taking advantage of those fresh greens that really are something that I think our bodies are craving, right? Basil would also be awesome here too. And again, just kind of giving it a fine mince, so this will mix as we go ahead and add our other ingredients. Okay, let's pop that in. Perfectly imperfect, right? That's the name of the game in the chef's pantry. Okay, and then let's go ahead and get some juices going. I'm gonna start by adding just half of the lemon juice in here. So the other thing, if you've ever had the pleasure of ordering a Caesar salad at a really good restaurant, sometimes they come over with a cart, they crack the egg, they whisk it up table side in a chilled bowl. It's really sensational. So you would have an egg yolk emulsified with a little extra virgin olive oil. Oh, I see my cameraman's taking an eye on that pan, right? We better take a look. Look over there, girl. Okay, there we go. I'm seeing a little texture and a little crunch start to form. We're in good shape. But guess what? We're not gonna use an egg yolk in here. I'm gonna create that emulsification that you get with the yolk and the extra virgin olive oil, and use a base of mayonnaise. Take your favorite mayonnaise. It's pasteurized. You already know it's food safe, shelf stable, and you can have a lot of control and ease when you use that great creaminess, that velvetyness to get your dressing party started. Okay, and then from here, I'm just gonna add a little bit of the red wine vinegar. It's balancing out that zing that you get from the lemon juice, and then that brightness, that little jamminess hint from the red wine vinegar is super cool. You could also try champagne vinegar. That would be really great in there. And now it's a texture thing, right? We want something that will toss well with our greens, not be too oily and clingy. And then let's grab our tasting spoon, taste for salt, pepper, acidity. Oh, all those good things. So here's something cool. Pecorino. I think Parmigiano, I love Pecorino in my Caesar salad. It has a little extra kick, a little extra tang and saltiness. It's making me drool, it's so good. And then here, I've gone ahead and used that pucker grater on my box grater to it. Looks like it's a little hole that's been punched from the background. It's a little bit of a pain because you can see that hard cheese sticks in between the surfaces, but what I love about it is that you get this gritty texture. I love a good microplane moment, but sometimes I want a little grit in my cheese. And so I'm gonna go ahead and add a couple little pinches here because that's gonna help basically season, if you will, with the salt. But then I'm going to go ahead and reserve the rest so I can really have that visual pack when this goes into the bowl with the breadcrumbs, that little extra topping. I want you to make that because it's going to put a smile on your face. Okay, let's talk kale. I love kale. Kale, especially in New England, is something that I really rely on, especially this time of year. So I have some red kale, some frizzy kale, and some dinosaur kale here too. You could pick your favorite. You don't have to do the mix, but I actually like the texture and the color differentiation here. The stem is a little woody, it's a little coarse. You don't need any fancy gadget, just a strong grip in your fingers. And you can just go ahead and compost this, reserve it. I don't know if you want to put it in a stock or juice it, go ahead, be my guest. And now we're going to create a little chiffonade. So like a cigar, because we're all cigar rollers, I always get a kick out of when the restaurants call for you to, or the recipes call for you to roll it like a cigar. But anyway, we're gonna take our kale and then tightly roll it, and then with a sharp knife, as thin as possible, just go through and create ribbons of this great mixture. So before we pop them in our salad bowl, I want to go ahead and spin it, removing the excess moisture. And it goes. Okay, so we have about 3 bunches of kale in here. Let's go ahead and give it a spin. Ooh! Get all that excess water powered out of here. And then pop it in our salad bowl. Put on the brakes, quick! Okay, so are you ready to get handsy? So this is a home kitchen. I'm serving food with clean hands just for myself and my family. So typically I don't usually worry about having gloves, but in this case, I don't think my kids will appreciate being tucked in into bed with the scent of anchovy lingering on my fingers. So I'm gonna use some chef gloves here. The really cool thing that happens when you start to massage the kale leaves with the Caesar dressing that has that acidity is that it's going to start to break down the enzymes in the kale. What size are these? I think I'd successfully get these all the way on. Hopefully just enough to create a scent barrier. Plus my hands are damp, which doesn't really help. This is one reason why I don't wear gloves, or at least try to get them. Darn it! Oh, I don't even know what I do. Okay, maybe I'll do this left-handed. Okay, the one-handed kale toss. Okay, so here we go with our dressing. Let's go ahead and go easy here. We can always add a little bit more, reserving a little bit. And then ideally with 2 hands, guys, you're gonna work the bowl. So this salad and the carrots that we're going to make is inspired by Jonathan Waxman, who has an incredible restaurant at Jams in New York City at One Hotel. If you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen that I was down in New York recently for a really fun new project with NBC, and I had an awesome dinner there. And isn't it fun when you go out to eat and you're thinking, wow, I'm inspired here. How can I replicate this in my home kitchen? Look at how pretty this looks already. It's like a little snow session in the dead of winter here in New England with that delicious pecorino. And then let's go ahead and just toss in some of the breadcrumbs, and I'm gonna reserve some of them too. So give yourself, if you're planning out the meal, time to let this sit for about 45 minutes or so before you go to serve it. And then I like serving this in a low bowl like that. Imagine this also, this is hearty and sufficient on its own, but a nice piece of grilled salmon or grilled chicken would be superb on this. And then let's go ahead and finish it off with a little coarsely gritty pecorino on top. Wow, this is the food I want to eat, especially this time of year. Okay, so I'm gonna toss you to commercial. When we come back, let's check on that honey and roast up some carrots. Okay, just really quick, I want you to know how much it means to me that you're joining me in the kitchen, and I want to know you are here. So drop a comment down below, say hi, let me know you stopped by. Also, give this a like, and my guess is you're a foodie and probably have some friends that might want to gather a recipe or two to add to their kitchen repertoire. So share it. Also, hey, if you have any brands, products, recipe ideas, ingredients that you think we should try right here in the chef's pantry, I want to know. Okay, let's get back into the kitchen. Welcome back to the Chef's Pantry. It's all about delicious veggies today. Our great Caesar salad with a kale base. And now we're going to roast some carrots smothered in honey and serve them over whipped cottage cheese. I like it. Okay, so let's start with our carrots. I love finding the carrots that still have the little stem on. These greens are actually really cool to use for a pesto. You can pop them into salads. They're completely edible. But here's the thing. When you get them home, go ahead and prune them. So snip that off so you can see. I went ahead and trimmed off the little green leafy part because it will continue to draw the moisture out of your carrot, leaving it limp. Well, if that happens, don't fret, my friends. You can just submerge it in a little ice bath like I've done here, and it becomes nice and stiff and crunchy and snappy again, which is always better, right? Okay, so don't worry. She has a home in a little bit, but let's go ahead and create some great flavor. I have a hot oven, 425. Let's take advantage of it. When you have a great confident heat, it's going to really lend itself to some great texture. So parchment lined baking sheet. I'm going to go ahead and lay my carrots down, and then a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. Great stories begin right here when you're going into a hot oven. The parchment paper too will just ensure that everything comes off nice and easy. Do you want to check on our honey? Aren't you curious? Are there scientists out there that love this? So you can see, aside from my dad's cute homemade label, the water is just at a nice steam. It's not even bubbling. And look at this. Remember how crystallized it was? And now look at how liquidy and delicious it is. So it's a little hot, to be honest, but I'm just gonna go ahead and remove the lid and then drizzle a little bit onto the carrots. Nice and easy, and then this will stay nice and liquid in my pantry, which is a little cool for quite some time. So great tip for the home kitchen. Okay, now let's go ahead and add a little bit of salt to balance out that delicious sweetness that we have with the honey. Here I have a little bit of Arctic sea salt from our trip to Iceland. A nice sea salt has a great minerality to it. I would use a Malden salt too if you'd like, or kosher salt. And then let's add a little bit of herbs de Provence. If you have some thyme or oregano from another dish floating around in your refrigerator that are fresh, take advantage of that. And then I'm gonna save a little bit of sumac that has this great tang to it, kind of citrus almost, and add a little bit on for garnish, but I thought it'd be fun to just pop in a little fleck or two of it there. And then how about some citrus? A little bit of orange zest. Our kids have been eating so many orange wedges, and this is going to be snack for the kids when they come off the bus. So before I peel it, I'm taking advantage of that great flavor in there too. And I feel like there's something about orange that just sort of elevates the whole experience in there. Okay, let's go ahead and pop this in the hot oven and let this go for about 20 minutes until you start to see some color. I have some roasting to give us a head start. Now, let's make our whipped cottage cheese. Who out there is doing this? Think about tailgate food where you have those great dips and everything, but that typically have a really high fat content. Use cottage cheese as your base for that creamy, velvety texture. Opt for something that has a little fat in it, so at least 2%. I love Good Culture. This is their 4%. And baby of the 80s right here. This is one of my favorite snacks with a dollop of strawberry jam on top. Take me back to my childhood in all the great ways. Okay, so the cottage cheese has a little bit of salt in it, but this is good luck. Add another little pinch of that. And then how about just a touch of heat? I love harissa. It is really complex, great spice blend. You could use a little red pepper flake in there, and it will give it just a subtle hue as we go to plate this up. Okay, and then watch the magic happen. It takes about, 30 seconds to a minute to get it nice and velvety and smooth. But you can see everything is whipping around, easy peasy. Also, who out there loves Green Goddess dressing? Well, if you like a Green Goddess dip, I've done that here. Same base with the cottage cheese, but I added some lemon zest, some chives, some parsley, a little bit of basil, a little bit of onion in there, and it is unbelievable. Okay, how good does that look? And it's texture. So when you have that chefy smear on the plate that we're going to do when those carrots come out, oh, wow, that is so cool. Okay, I love something just by changing the texture. Totally changes the way that you enjoy a dish like this. It elevates it. Okay, I'm gonna send you over to commercial, and when we come back, we'll plate everything up. But before that, I'm just gonna go ahead and get a little bit of sliced almonds toasting in a dry, hot pan. Okay, just really quick, I want you to know how much it means to me that you're joining me in the kitchen, and I wanna know you are here. So drop a comment down below, say hi, let me know you stopped by. Also, give this a like, and my guess is you're a foodie and probably have some friends that might want to gather a recipe or two to add to their kitchen repertoire. So share it. Also, hey, if you have any brands, products, recipe ideas, ingredients that you think we should try right here in the chef's pantry, I wanna know. Okay, let's get back into the kitchen. Welcome back. Are you ready to plate things up? So look at these gorgeous blistered roasting carrots. I love seeing that little lick and crackle of our honey infused olive oil popping around in there. Let me get some tongs because these might be beyond the temperature my hand can handle. Okay, so let's start with the base of our whipped cottage cheese. So let's just give it that little schmear that makes it fun, and be generous because you're gonna want to lick the plate. This is salty, it's creamy, it is guilt-free, and so great. Okay, and then let's have some fun stacking up our cool carrots. Any carrots will do, but I love finding these little multicolored bundles. They just feel like they're fresh from the fields, and I like getting that variety of color when you're having the joy of building a whole rainbow on the table. And then I'm catching the scent of almonds. So you know what else would be really cool on this that I've done is some crushed pistachio, some little palm arils from pomegranate. That would also be great, but that little crunch of nut. Again, this was inspired, thank you, Jonathan Waxman, from that delicious dinner I had down in New York. Veg heavy. And then how about pulling in just a pinch of the sumac? I love sumac. Sumac is a really cool herb that it's actually indigenous to the New England area, easy to find, but a little tedious to harvest. So this is definitely something, if you haven't tried, you like a little acidity, but without actually adding lemon juice to something, try it. You're gonna love it. Tag me, tell me what you think. Okay, are you gonna try these? If you do, I want to know what you think. I'm thinking about you and wanting to bring some fresh, delicious veggies to your table with our roasted carrots and kale salad. Thank you so much for joining me this week in the Chef's Pantry. I'll see you next week.